a fantastic. Now, I know that we all have incredibly busy lives. So the fact that you're here today is proof that you are ready to take control of your life. You're here because something simply has to give. Now, you want to break into tech, most likely. That's why you're here. However, it doesn't seem like it's working out for you. You've probably tried different strategies. Maybe you studied business, maybe you studied engineering, maybe you studied education, maybe medicine, maybe even law. And, you've somehow convinced yourself or someone has told you that the reason why this isn't working for you is because you don't have a computer science degree. That's why breaking into tech is impossible. Now, a lot of times I speak to people who carry this sort of misconception. They worry, Lola, I don't have a degree in computer science. Lola, my background is not in tech. Is it possible for me to break into tech? Is it possible for me to become successful in tech? Now, for people who hold themselves back and never move forward, they watch people with the same intelligence, people who have the same work ethics, but, they think because they have a tech background, that's why they're earning times three, times four, times five. And maybe you're tired somehow of being told that you don't have the right background when you know that you can do the work. And every day you see people, your peers, who maybe started at the same level that you did, they are all earning high salaries. So the question is, why not you? And today, that narrative, this is where it all ends. I'm going to walk you through real tech jobs that do not require a computer-based degree. I'm also going to be showing you some really interesting statistics on realities that are shaping the market as we speak. And I'm not talking about, helping you or showing you how you can get into, the grunt level entry work. That kind of internship that pays next to nothing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real tech roles, transitioning. We've seen people who have come in and they had little to no knowledge. And in like 6, 8 months, they were transitioning into mid-management roles. So how did they do it? I'm also going to be sharing that with you. And by the end of this session, you're going to know which roles you are qualified for. You're going to know which skills you actually need to learn in order for you to break into tech within a couple of months. And this is regardless of whether or not you have written a line of code in your life. Now, before we move forward, for the next hour, I want you to operate from a completely different mindset, from an empowered mindset of possibility. I want you to ask yourself, what if the degree barrier is a story that I've just been telling myself? What if I'm actually qualified for tech roles and I don't know? What if this year in 2026, I become a data analyst, a financial analyst, and I'm earning enough salary that I never have to worry about money again? So we're going to have an amazing session, and I'm going to show you how over 3,000 people have been able to get results, the same results that brought you into this masterclass. I'm going to be sharing that blueprint with you. But before we go on, let's get a sense of who is in the room with us today. So I would love if you could type in your name in the chat section, and you could also share what you studied as well, or maybe what your background is. You can say, my name is Kunle, or you could say Kunle Engineering. You could say Kunle Customer Support. You could say Sandra, Healthcare, whatever it is your industry is. I'd like us to get to know each other, where we've got lots of interesting people from all parts of the world. And what a fantastic time for us to meet each other. Okay, so type in your name, your background. You could also share your location as well, and then we'll get into the session. All right? No one is typing anything. What's going on, guys? Are we fighting? Okay, I'm starting to see entries coming. Christina is a registered nurse in the UK. Interesting. Christina, this is the best place for you to be. We talk to lots and lots of registered nurses, hundreds of registered nurses in analytics on a monthly basis. So you're at the right place. Lanre is a PMO manager in the aerospace industry here in the UK. Fantastic. Okay. All right. So Tonio, Sharon, Monica, Della, Francis, amazing. We've got really interesting. Oh, another registered nurse. Interesting. All right. Faith Bello, healthcare. Amazing. Femi from Canada. Thank you so much. It's amazing to meet everyone. Okay, so I just want you to take a minute and just soak this in. Just look at the collective ambition that we have here. We've got people from all parts of the world in different kinds of industry, and there's one thing that connects everyone here, and it's the desire to move into something else, to go to the next level in your career. Amazing. You've come to the right place. I have to say the diversity in this chat, it's absolutely incredible. Now, here's what I need you to understand before we move forward. I'm seeing different backgrounds here, but you need to know that your background does not disqualify you from tech. As a matter of fact, many of these backgrounds, because you develop what we call transferable skills in tech, it makes you even more valuable, not less. And I'm going to show you how. Now, we're about to get in. Do me a favor. My team will be sharing the attendance form in the chat. Now, this is for my people who are, maybe you're on the move, maybe you're at work or something. At some point, maybe you might drop off the call. Please fill the attendance chat and the attendance form that they're sharing in the chat so that you can have access to the replay and you can watch it. And then you can also have access as well to the slide that I'll be sharing with you today. It's important that you do that so you do not miss out on this. Now, one more thing. If you've got a friend, someone who is as ambitious as you, someone who is thinking, I want to break into tech, or maybe you just know that this person would be fantastic at it, share this link with them and get them in the comments or get them in the session, and we're all going to have a great time. Okay? Now, housekeeping is done. Let's get into destroying the degree barrier. And I'm going to show you the tech jobs that you're qualified for. And we're going to make 2026 your breakthrough year. All right, now let me address the real question on your mind right now. Oh, Lola, I've been told my entire life that tech requires tech requires a computer science degree. Tech requires you to have a technical background. And I've looked up job postings. Some of them maybe are saying you need to have a computer science degree, or I hear things like data analytics. I hear things like AI engineering, and I'm hearing all of this AI that's happening. I'm just thinking, do I need to be technical for me to get into this field? So the first thing I want you to lock in your mind is that you do not need this. You do not need this. Now, most people think that the barrier to tech is the degree. The real barrier is knowing which doors to knock on. That is the real barrier. Now, here's what happens. You see a job posting that says, computer science degree is required, and then, you don't apply. Or you apply anyway, and then you get an automated rejection because the ATS has filtered you out, right? And this is because, like I said, we just don't know what doors you are supposed to knock on. And that is exactly why Analytics was built. Now, over the years, we have helped over 3,000 people transition into tech. And many of these people, over 90% of these people, were people just like you, people who had no idea what a technical background was because they did not have one. They came from all walks of life. I'm talking, construction, accounting, nursing, healthcare. We've had so many people in different industries ask us the same question over and over again. I don't have a technical background. How exactly do I break into tech? And we have tried out so many systems, so many frameworks and models over the years to say, what exactly can get the results? Now, what is this results that we're talking about? That is you getting a job. And that's because beyond coming into Analytics to learn about, a new skill, data analytics, DevOps engineering, financial analytics, that's simply activity. The real metrics of success is you being able to get a job. And that is why we measure our success, not based off the number of people that we have trained, but based off the number of people who have shared their stories with us. Now, in your journey to come here to to the masterclass, I'm sure you must have done your research. You must have checked out our YouTube. You must have gone through some of the videos that you have there of real people. And in many cases, you can go on LinkedIn, you can just, type in the search bar and, just type in Tenalytics, and you're going to find a lot of participants, a lot of real people who are just sharing their experience on how it was to school with Tenalytics. My point is, these are real people with real stories like yours who came in and who thought to themselves, who were thinking at some point that I don't have a tech background, so how exactly am I going to break into this market? And we held their hands and we walked them through that path. And we did it together. I always say something that Tenalytics is community driven. And that is because at every step of the way, we provide you with the supports that you need. Now, you can join Coursera. You can go learn a new course, or something new on Udemy. You can buy a course. You know what? You don't even have to buy a course. You can just go on YouTube and you can learn it for free. But learning the skill is different from being employable in the market. Learning the skill is different from understanding the realities of the market. And that is the number one value that we provide to every single person who joins us at Tenalytics. Now, instructors come from different parts of the world. They have done this at the highest level. They've worked in different industries. And these are the kind of people that you will be talking to, that you can ask questions. These are the kind of people that you can say, oh, I'm about to apply to this job. How exactly do I go about applying? And trust me, like I said, community driven. So you never have to walk alone. In a nutshell, Tenalytics is not it's not a training company. I would say we're a career transformation company that is built specifically for people who want to break into tech, and that is regardless of your background. Okay, so I want you to lock that in while we move on to the next. Now, this is something really exciting, and I'm really, really proud of this. In 2024, 355 people got hired after completing our programs. 355. Now, like I said before, for every person who shares their story, for every person who comes back and says, hey, I got a job, we've got like 10 more people who never do that. And that's because the framework that we have built, it works. It works. The only thing that is required is for you to apply repeatedly. Apply with, I'm talking complete commitment to execution, and you will get the results that you are looking for within a very short time frame. We've had people who have come in 3 months, in 4 months, in 5 months. This is before the end of their program. They have gotten a job. And that's because from the moment you come in, we're already teaching you what we call employability skills. It's completely different, by the way, from the actual skills that you learn. Being able to get a job, I always say the act of job hunting is a job in itself. And when you start to treat it like a job in itself, you're going to get the results that you're looking for. So you walk into Tenalytics, we empower you with the skills, and then we also go the next step and empower you to become employable so that recruiters, employers, they see your profile, they hear the kind of things that you say in interviews, they understand that you are a candidate who drives business outcomes first, and you become absolutely irresistible in the market. Now, in 2025, over 426 people have shared their stories with Tenalytics about how they got a job. And this is why I said again, for every person who comes to us and says, oh, I got a job, we've got so many other people who maybe they don't want to get on camera and share their testimonies. But like I said, this works. And you could be one of these people. You could be one of our 2026 success story. I'm talking about people in their 30s, in their 40s. Our youngest participant was actually 18 years old. He was 18. At the time when he joined, he was 17, and he got into our data analytics program. It was his elder brother who registered him. His name is Christian, and you can actually find his story on our YouTube page. His elder brother just thought, he's got a lot of talent and registered him for the Tenalytics data analytics program. And today, Christian is employed at the age of 18. So we've gotten people 18, 20, 30, 40s, it doesn't matter. If you're thinking, oh, it's too late for me, I've gone too far, I've been in this industry for such a long time, it's impossible. We will take you from where you are to where you need to be. All you have to do is to be ready to work with us, to be ready to walk with us. Now, is everybody here ready? I don't know. I'm charged up. Are you? If you are, I want you to type in ready in the chat. Just type in ready, READY, ready. And we're going to go into breaking down all of the misconceptions, all of the myths regarding getting a job in tech. Type in fantastic. Oluwaseun is ready. Oluwatoyin, PC. I see you guys. Christina, Sharon. Oh, interesting. We've got so many people. Okay. I love the energy in this room. Everyone is super interactive. Okay, so you're all ready. Let's get into it. Okay. Now, let me be very clear about why I am uniquely positioned to have this conversation with you. I've been on your screen for approximately, say, 18 minutes, and you're probably thinking, well, who is this person, and why do you think you're the right person to come here and talk to me about getting a job in tech? Well, my name is Dolafemi, and for over a decade, I have built and scaled companies across African and European markets. Now I'm talking SaaS platforms, B2C e-commerce, fintech ventures. I have been head of operations, head of product growth, product lead, chief operations officer, you name it. But all of that is irrelevant to you. You want to know, how does this help me? How does this solve my problem? And I'll tell you how. Now, I've personally hired people in tech. I'm talking hundreds of people. I have sat in hundreds of interviews. I have probably reviewed maybe 1,000, maybe thousands of interviews. I have automated the process and I have sat down and done it manually. I have rolled my eyes. I have seen resumes that make me go, I want to talk to this candidate. I have hired business analysts, data analysts. I have hired project managers, product managers, product designers, DevOps engineers. So if there's someone who is qualified to talk to you about what is required in the job market, what you need on your resume, the kind of skills that you need to use, the kind of person that you need to become in order for you to stand out in the market, trust me, you're talking to the right person. I'm going to tell you what I look out for when I review resumes. I'm going to tell you the kind of skills that will make you indispensable in whatever company that you work in. I'm going to tell you what employers, what recruiters are looking out for when they're checking your resume, when they're looking at your profile, the kind of things they want to see, what helps you stand out. Your degree is what says where you've been. Your portfolio is what says what you can do. And I hire usually based off what you can do. You're going to learn the difference when we get into it. But I'm going to give you an example. When I review a CV for a data analyst role, I do not look at, what degree you have. I was talking to someone, actually, a friend in the tech industry. She's a recruiter. And I told her that, funny enough, when I'm reviewing resumes, I've never actually thought, what school did this person go to? It's usually the last thing on my mind. And I've been doing that from the moment I began to hire candidates or to, poach candidates. I never go to what school did this person go to. The first thing I do when I look at a resume is I look out for your portfolio link. I look out for maybe your LinkedIn so I can go check out the person. And then I start to look out for maybe where you've worked. I look out for the things that you have done, the impact you have made in the places that you work. To move down to go check the education, it's never really been something that I prioritize. And this is why I said I'm going to walk you through exactly what recruiters and employers are looking for. Because if there's one thing they prioritize over anything else, it is how you can solve their problems. So when I tell you that you do not need a computer science degree, trust me, I am telling you this as someone who has made those hiring decisions thousands and thousands of times. Okay, now let's really get into it. Let's talk about the trap that is costing you over 100K annually. Now, before I show you the solution, I want you to really understand the loop that you are caught in. You're most likely caught in if you are here. Because until you understand that this barrier is what is costing you money, serious money every single year, You will not feel the urgency to break through it. Now, the cycle that keeps on running in your probably in your mind is, do I need a CS degree for tech? Am I ever going to break into tech? That's what you're probably thinking to yourself. Do I need to get a computer science degree? Do I need to be technical in order for me to break into the market, in order for me to prove value? You see a job posting, data analyst, business analyst, and you get excited. But then for some people, they start to think there are certain requirements that these people are looking out for before they even hire this person. Now, for some other people, they start to think, is the degree worthless? One thing that happens to people who relocate, you move to a completely new country. For immigrants, one problem that they usually face in the new environment is everyone telling them, you have to go to university, you have to go back to school, you have to go back to school and in the Western world and learn how they do things here because apparently your university certificate is useless. And this is something that you still hear people say even in 2026. And it always baffles me. As we go on, I'm going to share the story of someone with you so you understand how people are breaking into the market and earning insane salaries with tech. One thing that always surprises me is tech is such a massive industry. I mean, has anyone here heard of the tech visa? The tech visa? It's a real thing. And if you understand what it means, it's at its core, it's it's companies, it's countries saying, hey, you know what? We want to bring in people who understand the tech industry. What they're saying is they want to bring in people who have value, people who can give back to their community. And that is the beauty of tech. It's how tech has broken down the barriers that we thought was impossible to break. That in the days of our parents, it was completely impossible to break. Today, if you understand how tech works, you will never be out of a job. Never. Now, another thing that people ask themselves is tech even possible for me? Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what your background is in. It doesn't matter if you're in healthcare right now. It doesn't matter if you're doing care work. It doesn't matter what you're doing in construction, accounting. 100% it's possible for you. One thing again is, should I go back to university? I would say before you make that decision, let's get to the end of this session and let's see if you're still in that headspace. Okay? Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is every job that says, oh, we want a computer science degree, maybe, and you're thinking, well, maybe this isn't for me. For every job that says that, there's 1,000 more jobs, 1,000 more opportunities. And I'm going to prove to you how real this is. Okay? Now, this is a report I want us to pay very, very close attention to. The tech world is moving away from traditional computer science degrees. This is huge, by the way. There was a point when there was this interview of Bill Gates, and Bill Gates was saying how computer was going to completely change the world. And I remember how I've forgotten who was interviewing him. I remember how, the person laughed and said, what do you mean? He said he envisions a world where everyone has a computer, and they laughed. And today, that is exactly what we're seeing. Back then, the people who got, computer science degrees, they were the geeks, they were the big boys, the big girls. But today, that has completely changed. With the way tech has spread across the world, especially with the introduction of AI, it completely changes the game. Now, look at this. What we're seeing, this is a 2025 Computing Research Association survey from 130 learning institutions. Okay? This was from 130 learning institutions, from universities that teach computer science. Now, what we're seeing is that 62% of schools reported lower enrollment in computer science degree programs in 2025 compared to the previous year. So in a nutshell, what this means is that the interest is dropping. The interest is dropping, and it's not slightly lower. The drop is massive. Now, only 13% saw higher enrollment, and only 19% stayed the same. What this tells us is that computer science degree enrollment is declining at a rapid rate. And this is because the market is telling us something. You do not need a computer science degree to work in tech anymore. You do not need to have a technical background for you to break into tech. Now, this is a Forbes article, and one reason why I find it so interesting, if you look here, you see that this article is more than 9 years old. For every shift that comes, every massive shift that comes, there's always, warning signs, and people always talking about it. This is what is going to happen. This is a trend in the future. And a lot of people most likely just ignore it until it actually happens. Now, this Forbes article 9 years ago was saying you do not need a technical degree to excel in tech. This isn't me making it up, okay? Before it actually started to happen, it was people were already reporting because they could see the trend. They could see how the direction that the world was moving in. They could see that hiring companies were starting to prioritize different kinds of traits in candidates. And this is why I say that you absolutely do not need to be technical for you to break into tech. As a matter of fact, there's something new that McKinsey is doing now. And if you know one thing about these big consulting companies is they're very, very particular about the way they source their candidates, about the way they bring in talents. And one thing they have done, especially since AI is completely changing the landscape, is now before they bring in talents, before they recruit talents, they're not really prioritizing those things that they used to before anymore. They're starting to prioritize soft skills like leadership, like problem solving. They're starting to ask people questions like, how do you solve problems? How do you think on your feet with AI? And this is because for these companies, AI is not a buzzword. AI is how they actually transform their industries. AI is how they can times their revenue, times 4, times 5, because your data analysts can build a dashboard in probably 2 hours, what would typically take in 20 days to build with AI, which in turn means that you're getting more output for less time. It means that your company is achieving more in less time. So when I tell you it is not a buzzword, and these companies are starting to shift requirements and focus heavily on skills. No one is asking anymore, what school did you graduate from? Maybe some people are still talking about it, but trust me, the majority in the market are now focused on what value can you drive? And that is the mindset that you need to lock in. Okay, let's talk more about why, let's give ourselves a reality check on what the market is really saying regarding tech skills. Now, 75% of tech roles do not require coding skills, okay? We're getting into it. We're starting to dismantle this belief that I need to be technical in order for me to break into tech. 75% of tech roles do not require coding skills. By the way, I work in tech. I have never written a line of code before, and I've been working in tech for over 10 years. If I can do it, trust me, you can as well. 3/4 of all jobs in tech companies do not involve writing code. They involve things like analyzing data, understanding business problems, managing projects, designing experiences, securing systems, not coding. Especially now that we literally have AI that can code for you in under a few minutes. Oh, and by the way, remember when I said I don't code? I can code now, but I code with AI. And I learned it in about a week. That is how fast the world is changing. Now, over 3,000 analytics alumni have been hired without computer degrees. I'm going to be sharing a story with you as we move along so you understand that, again, the world is shifting from degrees. And all of these people, most of them have the same doubts that you have right now. Is it really possible for me to do this? Can I actually do this? Now, only 25% of tech workers have computer science degrees. Now, out of this 25%, even less actually needed it to get the job. It was just you know what, I've got this, so I'm just going to get into the market and see what I can get. It wasn't, a lot of them did not need to say, I have a computer science degree. Now, to be realistic, did it give them an edge? Absolutely. But this wasn't really a major requirement for them, especially now that we can see how a lot of requirements are starting to shift away from traditional computer science degrees. Now, 100% job placement rate. That is regardless of your background. Now you may ask, oh, that's incredible. That's highly confident of you, 100%. And this is because so long as you apply the frameworks that we teach you in 10 analytics, so long as you are committed to learning, to not just learning the skills, by the way, but to actually becoming employable. Becoming employable means that you have to do things that you might find uncomfortable sometimes, which means, I'm going to give you an example. I was talking to someone and I said, you cannot apply for jobs with the same resume. Every time you're applying for a job, you have to change your resume. You have to pick keywords from the job that you're applying for. You have to add those keywords to your resume so that your application can make it past what we call the applicant tracking system, which is the ATS. And this person went, oh, Lola, that's a lot of work. Why do I have to do that? Because I'm looking for a job. Now, do you see? Like I said, 100% job placement rate, regardless of background. Some people get it faster. Some people get it later. Some people might get it in like a year and a couple of months when they realize that they actually have to apply themselves in order for them to get the results that they want. And for some, it's lightning fast. And that's because as soon as they come in, they actually begin to apply the employability skills that we are teaching them, and they begin to see the results in real time. Now, data analyst roles grew by 387% since 2020. That is massive, by the way. I'm going to tell you why. Just by us, the simple act of us being on this call, of me sharing my screen and having this conversation with you, for every person who drops a comment in the chat section, you know what that means? It means that we are generating data. Whenever you open your WhatsApp and you chat with your friends, whenever you sign up on a new app in whatever country you're in, whenever you go online and you buy a plane ticket, you know what that means? You are generating data. So with everything that we do now, with most of these things being online, every day from the moment we wake up, in most cases, even in our sleep, we are generating data. And that's something that's only going to grow. There's no point in which it will ever decrease. And that is why roles like data analysts continue to increase, because all of this data needs someone who can interpret it and tell businesses and tell companies what they can do to become better, what they can do to grow their revenue, what they can do to increase their bottom line. So when I tell you that there are only going to be more opportunities in fields like this, and by the way, you do not need to be technical in order for you to understand how to, or in order for you to become a data analyst. And there's just so much, I'm talking explosive growth in this career path. Now, business analyst, the demand for this role, it went up by 297% in 2026. By the way, that's the same year, that's the year that we're in, 2026. Business analysts, the demand for this role went up by 297%. And I'll tell you why. What do companies want? I'm throwing this question to the house. What is the number one thing that companies want? So imagine that, you own a company or you start a company today. What is the number one thing that you are looking for? I want someone to type that in the chat for us. What is the number one thing that you're looking for? So you start a company and, what's that number one thing that you are absolutely laser focused on? Okay. Favor said growth. Akin said profit making. Amazing. Fantastic responses. Exactly. Growth, profit making. In other words, money, revenue. Uche said solution, because when you build something that really speaks to the problem in the market, that way you can drive revenue. Adiola said sales. PC said income. Exactly. So this is what companies are built to solve. And business analysts, when they come into a company, the number one thing they're looking for is, what is a process that is broken that I can fix? So business analysts are the ones who would most likely come into a company and say, you know what? So I can see that we've got 200 customer support personnel or agents. And each of these customer support agents is earning $20 an hour. However, we can build a model with AI and we can fully automate this process. And then we only need two agents to support the AI tool. Business analysts are the ones who would come into a company and propose a solution like that. And you know what happens? So when they propose a solution like that, it is implemented. Most of the company's customer support flow becomes fully automated. It means that they have saved money that would otherwise have been spent on maintaining the customer support team. And this is why companies around the world desperately need business analysts. Now, when I explain this to you, did I have to say you go and you write a single line of code? Absolutely not. The only thing you have to come in with is your A game. Just come in and think in a way, how can I solve problems? How can I ensure that we hit our revenue targets for the year? And that way you are valuable. So if I was going to summarize everything that I have just said, the one thing that companies prioritize over, I have a computer science degree or any kind of degree, is problem solvers, because what they care about is making money. And if you can make money for them, you can prove value or you have value. Trust me. Now, I'm going to give you an example of everything that I've been saying. This is hope. Now, hope story is important because it destroys a specific myth. It's the idea that certifications without experience will not get you anywhere. It is the idea that you need certifications in order for you to break into the market. That is exactly what Hope Story completely dismantles. Now, Hope had project management and Scrum Master certifications. On paper, Hope was qualified. If you looked at what Hope had done, if you looked at her resume, you would go, amazing, But the problem was, Hope was new in Canada and she could not land a job. Why? This is because she was stuck in the skills versus certificates loop. Hope was telling herself that, oh, I already have a certificate. And because I have a certificate, people are going to hire me. Because they can see that I went to school and I read this, because I can prove to them that I went to school and I read this, they will hire me. However, the market quickly proves that that reality was completely different. Now, Hope realized that something simply had to give. The certificate was not working. It wasn't opening doors for her. Now, she joined our Agile Project Management Program in September of 2024. And just 3 months later, in December 2024, Hope had already secured herself a job as a project analyst in Canada. Now, this is the same Hope who could not land the job. So what happened? What was different? I'll tell you what was different. Hope realized that she doesn't need a certificate, because what she was doing was she was putting her project management and Scrum Master certification first. So when you open Hope's resume, you're seeing that Hope is qualified, but she lacked one important thing, which was proof. Now, for companies, proof is what they need to see. They don't care about, do you have this certificate? Have you schooled in Harvard? Did you go to Yale? They don't care about that, because what am I going to do? Am I going to tell my board that, hey, this person went to Harvard and they're so cool because they went to Harvard. We totally need this person on our team. No company cares about that. No board cares about that. The only thing they want to know is, what have you done? And can you replicate that in my company? So when recruiters are looking at your resume, when they're looking at your portfolio, they want to see what you have done. They want to see that this person is a project manager and this person used their project management skills to streamline operations or to manage a project to completion. This person managed a $3 million project and this was the result. It went to market, it launched, and then they got 3 million users. They want to see that you understand how to drive value. They want to see that you can replicate the same things that you have done in their company, because that is the only thing they care about, not your certificates. So one thing to keep in mind going forward is whatever your certificate is in, it doesn't matter. This is where you start to build the skills that makes you employable in the market. Now, the next question is, What non-technical skills gets you noticed? Because I've been going on and on and on about how you do not need a computer science degree. So what non-technical skills gets you noticed? We're going to talk about that. Now, from everything I've said, we can collapse it into three. We can collapse it into the business translator, the value creator, the tech savvy executor. And what we call this kind of person is the business communicator. So whatever it is that you're thinking that you need that certificate, you need this certificate, the most important thing you need is to become a business communicator. I was in an interview one time, and so this guy came in. He's a business analyst, and we're talking, and I said, "So did you check out the company online? What do you think about it? What do you think we can do to improve, to drive growth? What do you think we can do to 3 times our revenue? How do you think we can get to where I named one of our competitors? How do you think we can get to where this person is? And how do you think we can break into a certain market?" And he sat down in the interview and he told me, I haven't really thought about that. Excuse me? You're a business analyst. What do you mean you haven't thought about that? And that is why I tell you that what companies are looking for is a business communicator. Now, in that interview process, because we spoke to a couple of people, there were some that I spoke to that I was completely blown away. So they went online, they researched the company, they checked out as many resources that they could find, they mapped out what the competition was doing, they mapped out what the opportunities were in the market, they looked at what we were putting out online, and they said, look, compared to what this is what your competition is doing. This is what you are doing, and this is what you need to do in order for you to close the gap and break into new markets. It was amazing. Now, that's what I say when companies are looking for business communicators. So stop leading conversations with, I went to Harvard, nobody cares. What they care about are the problems that you can solve for them. So start opening conversations as a business communicator. One thing that I always tell people to do is it's a small practice, it can be funny, but think of yourself as a McKinsey consultant. For example, your high level, your top tier, and this is regardless of what you're doing. This is regardless of whether or not you're in DevOps, you're in cybersecurity, regardless of whether or not you're in data engineering, project management. Think like you have, think like a top tier consultant. Think like someone who is capable of solving problems on a high level, and walk into interviews like that. Come into work every day like that. Embody that, and you will soon see that everything around you will start to change. So this is what companies are looking for: business communicators. Okay, now what skills are in high demand in 2026? We've already put everything in one category, business communicators. But another important question is why? Why are business communicators in high demand? Now, these are articles. We have one from Forbes. We have another one here as well that talks about how nearly 4 in 1 companies will replace AI by 2026. Now, last year we had a retreat, and we were just having a conversation because we have when you talk about AI, we're forward when it comes to AI. So now we're automating a lot of processes with AI, and naturally that conversation came up. We're asking, now that everyone is looking to AI and so many things are changing, how exactly can people, stay on top? Because before you know it, all of these jobs are going to be overtaken by AI. And my response to that was, nobody can replace anybody who has value. Nobody can replace anybody who has value. I just gave you an example about the business analyst who can come in and say, you know what, you're spending so much money on customer support roles. How about we optimize this process and we cut down your losses and we take up your revenue just by implementing automation in your customer support processes? That is value. So you pair that with AI and you are automatically driving value. You become the candidate who everybody wants to talk to. Recruiters want to talk to you. Employers want to talk to you. You're the candidate that when you put in your quit notice, you're like, absolutely not, we can't let you go, because you're thinking in terms of value. And like I said here, today more than ever, we're seeing a fundamental reshaping of what makes someone valuable in the workspace. We've already thrown out the logic or the thought process that you need a computer science degree. Now, what I want you to lock into your head is what companies are looking for. What makes you valuable in a workspace? What makes you a strong contender for all of these roles that you see out online? Any job listing that you see that has got salary that makes you go, can I really do this? What makes you a strong contender is you being a business communicator. And trust me, there is no door that is closed to you. Now, the question is, Lola, you've said so much, but how do I even choose the right career path? How do I know which one is right for me? So you understand that the myth is dead. You understand that your background is actually valuable, whatever it is. When you first came in, you shared your background. Some of you are in healthcare, some of you are in finance. We've got a diverse group here. Your background, whatever it's in, is valuable. But how do you choose the right career path in tech? Now, I've got 10 career paths. And, choosing the wrong one, it means that you waste time that you do not have. It means that you spend the next 6 months, the next 1 year, maybe you learn the skills, you learn how to become employable, and it's only for you to realize that you don't even like it at all. And we want to avoid that. So we narrow it down to how do you choose the right career path? Now, what we have done is first, I'm going to walk you through how we arrived at the jobs that we currently offer at 10 Analytics and why you should really pay attention here. So if you're doing anything else, this is the part where I want you to really, really pay attention, okay? Now, we arrived at all of the jobs I'm going to be walking you through today through what we call like a 3-step analysis. Now, the first thing that we do is a job board analysis. That is the first thing we do. And we do this every single year. Every single year. We track what is being hired for on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on Glassdoor, on Total Jobs, on Monster, across all major platforms. We're not tracking what was hot 2 years ago. We're tracking what companies are actually hiring for this week, what they are hiring for this month. And then we take that data and we pair it with validation from the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. Now, the Future of Jobs report is a report that is released every year, and it breaks down what jobs in the market are actually moving the needle. So it talks about the jobs that in the next, 5 years are going to remain relevant. I spoke a bit about how AI is completely shifting the industry. And we're seeing a lot of people getting scared. Oh my goodness, my job is going to be automated and blah. But while that is happening, we've got over 100 million jobs that are being created simply by the act of AI existing. I gave you an example earlier. I said just by being on this call, by waking up every day, going online, signing up for a new fitness app, following your friend on Instagram, following your friend on TikTok, watching a movie on Netflix, you are generating data. Now, this is part of what was analyzed to use to answer the question, what jobs are going to be relevant in the next 5 years? Based on how AI is changing the world and how people are interacting with themselves. So you want to definitely fill out the attendance form that my colleagues are dropping in the chat so that you can get this slide, you get the opportunity to go through it in your own time and check out all of the analysis that we've put together here. Now, after we validate from the Future of Jobs report, the next thing we do is what we call a regional analysis. And this is because it is not enough to know that data analysts are in demand globally. We need to know, does this role qualify for a UK skilled worker visa? We want to know, does it have high H-1B acceptance rates in the US? Is it on Canada's priority occupation list? These are important questions, and we have to know whether or not it matches all of these jobs, matches all of these categories that we have listed out. Now, when we cross-reference all 3 levels, the job boards, the global validation, the regional immigration pathways, this is what we get. And this is something that you can verify. That's one of the beautiful things about the internet, that there's nothing I tell you today that you cannot go online and verify for yourself. Now, once we cross-reference this, we're getting jobs like business analysis. We're seeing data analysis. We're seeing data scientists. We're seeing agile PM, Scrum Master, data engineering, cybersecurity analyst, HR analyst, financial analyst. We're seeing roles like DevOps engineering, product design. Now, do you remember when I said the most important thing for us is not how we measure our success at 10 Analytics, is not by the number of people that we have trained. We measure our success by the number of people who have gotten jobs. And that is why it is so important for us to run this analysis every single year, because we have to confirm that every single program that is offered by 10 Analytics is a guaranteed job, is a guaranteed job magnet, that you are going to get a job with every single program that we offer. Now, with business analysis, this is guaranteed. All you have to do is go online and type in business analysis jobs. There are so many everywhere. We've already spoken about how this is exploding in the market because companies, like we've already established, the one thing they want to do is drive revenue. And for them to do that, they need to get talented people on board. You know what's going on right now? And one thing that's probably not going to end for a while is what we call an AI war. AI, the war for AI talent. So you've got talent from Meta, you've got talent from Amazon, you've got talent from Blue Sky, and all of these big tech companies are poaching talents from each other. And what this means is that we are poaching the big talents, they're creating solutions, and all of this just comes all the way down to the other companies. It means that now, in order for me to be ahead, in order for this company to be ahead, we have to continuously innovate. So when I tell you that opportunities will only keep exploding in these career paths, because these tech roles that you can see on my screen here are the tech roles that you need to be at the forefront of innovation in every single industry that you can think of in tech. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, again, fill out the form that my colleagues are dropping in the attendance form so you can gain access to this and take your time and look through it. Now, I just walked you through some of the roles that are breaking the market when it comes to the tech world. These roles are in high demand. These roles are high-paying roles. But then that naturally brings up a question. Okay, Lola, this is all amazing, but I don't know, which one do I go for? Cybersecurity? Do I go for DevOps? Do I go for data scientist or data analyst? I have no idea. This is my first time hearing some of these terms. So which one do I go for? And this is why our career consultants who have spoken to thousands of people like you came together and developed what we call the career path quiz. Now, what you do is you take this quiz. It takes you less than 3 minutes, by the way, to take this quiz. And this quiz will analyze what your dominant trait is, and then make a suggestion on what the best fit for you is when it comes to tech. My colleagues are dropping that link right now in the chat section. I want you to click on the link and go fill it out. And then this will show you what the next step for you is when it comes to tech. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the link and we're going to do it together real fast. So I'd like you to click on the link as well. Let's fill this out together. Okay, so now the first thing you see when you come here is discover your path. You click on this button. And by the way, we're getting into our tech era, everybody. That is the reason why we are here today. We are here to get into our tech era. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to select the tech career paths that you are interested in. Okay, are you on that page? Because we're doing this together, everyone. You want to select the tech career path that you're interested in. So is it business analysis, data science, data engineering, cybersecurity, whatever it is. Now I'm going to select it. I'm going to try and be as honest as possible. And that's the only way you can get the actual truth out of this test. So be as honest as possible with yourself. So for me, it is data analysis. For you, maybe different paths are calling your name, so you can select that. Now you click on the button for you to move to the next page. Now we're on the next page. So what is your immigration goal? Do you want visa? Do you want an employer to sponsor your work visa, or are you looking for PR points? Or maybe you already have work authorization, or maybe you just want to stay in your current country or you just want to work remotely. So whatever your motivation is, you want to select it here. Okay, so I'm going to select remote work preferred. But for you, whatever that is, select it on that page. So what is your current or most recent career field? Maybe it is finance, maybe it is healthcare, maybe it is HR, construction, legal, compliance. Maybe you're a creative, you worked in marketing, maybe you worked in teaching, whatever that is. Okay, so just make that selection here. For me, I'm going to select business development. Okay, now how do you prefer to work? For some people, they love to lead discussions and collaborate with stakeholders. I'll tell you that people who do this are extroverts. Some people enjoy teamwork, but they need focused solo time to be on their own. People who do this are mostly in the middle. They are more like ambiverts. So they're not extroverts, they're not introverts, they're somewhere in the middle. So if you prefer deep independent work with minimal meetings, you're most likely, maybe you're somewhere in the middle as well, or you're leaning more towards the introverted aspect. And for some people, it depends on the task. They adapt to what is needed. Usually you'd find that it's extroverts who do that. Extroverts who happen to love their time. So I'm going to select I thrive leading discussions and collaborating with stakeholders. Now, which best describes how you approach problems? Do you map out your processes first? Do you just dive right into the problem? Do you think about it before you do it? Or do you look for, what's the most important thing here that could cause a problem before you dive into it? Or do you experiment and iterate and optimize as you go? You find that a lot of spontaneous people fit into the experiment, iterate, and optimize as I go. For me, I'm going to select I dive into the data and then I let my patterns guide my decisions. Okay. How comfortable are you with technical tools? Are you comfortable using tools like Excel, or somewhere in the middle? Do you even know what pivot tables are? So whatever it is that looks like for you, you can select it here. I'm going to put myself comfortably in the middle. Now, what's your relationship with coding? Do you want to code, or is it something you're interested in? Maybe you want to do some light coding, you want to do vibe coding, or do you just prefer logic and systems over coding? Or do you want to manage technical teams and not write code? For me, I always want to manage technical teams. I don't want to have to do it. So I would rather someone else does it for me. What motivates you most in a career? So when you think about what the right career is for you, what motivates you? I have to say that this is very important because sometimes you find that people go for career paths that do not match their personality or does not match what their long-term goal is, and then there's a lot of dissatisfaction. So this is a question that you really want to ask yourself. Is it high earning potential that you're looking for? Does the salary matter more to you? Are you looking for job security? Is it stability? Are you looking for remote flexibility? Are you looking for a job that can provide a leadership path for you? Are you looking to make an impact? People like this would most likely find them working in NGOs. Or are you still figuring out? For me, I would choose leadership path. I want to grow into management. We're getting to the end, by the way, so we're about to wrap this up. What type of impact resonates most with you? Do you want to transform how organizations operate? So when you think about it, like when you're in a company, what do you want to hear people saying about you? What kind of articles do you want people to write about you? Do you want them to say, oh, he helped transform how we operate? He built systems that scales to millions of users. He turned complex data into clear business decisions. Which one calls your name? And I would say that for me, that's transforming how organizations operate. And that's it, everyone, we're done. We are done. So now you want to put in your information, you want to share, just select your country here, and it would automatically fill in the data. You put in your first name, your last name, your email address, whatever that looks like. Very simple, and you are one step away from getting your result, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, so put in your name, put in your last name, put in your mobile number, and then put in your email, and that's it. Okay, that's it. And then you select the button to send your results. And that's it, pretty much. And then you're going to get your results. Okay, I'm just going to close this. But complete the information, and then you can show us what your result is. Okay, so has anyone completed the test? Do you want to share what your result is with the house? Just drop the results in the chat section. So what are you getting? Are you getting business analysis? Are you getting data analytics? Whatever it is that you're getting, share the result with the house. We want to know all the data analysts and the business analysts that we have in the house with us today. Okay? All right. I want to see your test results coming in. So share your test results with us. Okay, I'm seeing that we've got some product designers in the house. Okay, very interesting. Let's keep our results coming in, everyone. Okay. Okay, and one thing I also want you to do as well is answer the question, does your result feel like a fit for you? Is that result that you're putting in there, does it feel like, it's a perfect fit for you? For me, it's the strategist business analysis. And it's no surprise. I love businesses. I love to change the way organizations work. So what is calling your name? Okay, I can see Mazi, HR analyst. I can see Tonyo, the analyst, data analytics. Okay, we've got lots of data analysts in the house, HR analysts, business analysts. Oh, we've got someone in cybersecurity. Cool. Okay, we need more people to share their results with us, everyone. Come on, we've got like, over 70 people on this call. Let's share our results. Okay. Okay, we've got Sharon, who said the strategist business analysis. Rosemary, interested. We've got so many data analysts. Ooh, we've got another data analytics. We've got someone else in business analysis. Guys, let's keep the results coming in, okay? Let's encourage those who haven't taken the test yet. Send your results. But another question I want us to answer, let's just pause for a minute. Do you feel like this result reflects what you're looking for? Okay, Oluwatoyin said business analysis, 100% match. I love that. I love that. So do you feel that this results that you have gotten is the perfect fit for you? For some people, maybe it is. Maybe it's not for you. That's not weird. About, 5% of people who take the quiz say that it's not the right fit for them, but that's fine. You can still have a conversation with a career consultant who would help you find what the perfect fit is. Okay, Monica said yes. Okay, Abisola said yes. Fantastic. Awesome, awesome. Love to see it. Amazing. So now that you know what tech career path is a good fit for you, do you realize something that we just did, by the way, before we move forward? We have just cut down months of, I'm not sure what is going to be a good fit for me. I'm not sure what I want to do. We have just completely erased that and replaced it with certainty. And how many minutes did it take us to do this? It took us, about 5 minutes in order for us to replace confusion with clarity. I want to point out here that this is the beauty of AI automation. That's the beauty of it. And if you're coming into a company, you need to be the kind of person, and this is regardless of where you work, especially to the business analysts that we have in the house with us today, because there's quite a lot of business analysts and data analysts. When you come into a business, you want to look at a process and say, what can I streamline in this process? What can I make faster? Okay, Abisola is asking a question. Is there healthcare analysis? Abisola, if you got data analysis, if you want to go for anything healthcare related, I would 100% advise you to go for data analytics, healthcare informatics, healthcare analysis. It is data analytics, but you're looking at it from a healthcare perspective. The skills that you need are data analytics, because what you do when you're analyzing healthcare is you're analyzing lots of data, you're comparing data. And it already helps if you maybe have a background in healthcare. So there are a lot of things that you already have a good understanding of. So amazing that everyone is on the same page regarding what career path is the right fit for them. Now let's answer the question, how do you build an irresistible profile? So let's imagine that you're ready to get started. And I hope that everyone here is, because 2026 is waiting for nobody. You're ready to get started. But how do you build an irresistible profile that makes you so attractive in the market? First, you have to learn in what we call a project-based environment. Now, what is a project-based environment? A project-based environment at 10 Analytics is where we combine project-based environments. So we combine work and real-world case studies together. So what this means is that while you are learning, you are also building the skills that would make you employable in the market. You are learning, and then you are also building your value capital. So this is not about you going on YouTube to go and learn some random course, or you going to Coursera or Udemy and going to learn in complete isolation. First, we are community driven. So you are learning in a community. We have what we call pods. So this is where a group of people, and you know, the funny thing about life is some people are on this call and you guys are going to be in the same pod. You did not have a conversation today, but you're probably going to be in the same pod. So we have a structure that we call pods that supports learners. So it means that maybe Abisola, Rosemary, Sharon are all in the same pod from different parts of the world, and you all come together and say, we want to be data analysts. So you're learning in class, and then you also have your watch me do it videos as well. So this is where you're peering live learning and then videos that you can watch at any time. Let me explain what I mean to you. So self-paced learning materials is when you watch your videos on your own. So it's sort of like when you go on Udemy or Coursera and you're watching your videos and you learn one thing, you practice it, it moves to the next video, it asks you a quiz, very simple. But then we now take this to the next step by pairing it with learning in class with industry experts, where you can ask questions and get feedback in real time. So we have live classes, and these live classes is where you come in to ask your questions. Live classes is where you get to sit in class and get taught by our instructors who have worked in different tech companies that you are most likely looking to break into. So this is certainly not something that you want to miss because we combine the best of both worlds. Now, we've been doing this for over 5 years and we have tried out different strategies. From everything that we've seen, this is how you should learn. Because remember, what is the results that we are looking for? We've spoken about this on the call. Can one person just answer that question for me? What is the results that we are looking for? What are we looking to get when we do this activity of, of learning, of going through, of becoming a data analyst? Thank you so much, Akin. Akin has answered it for us to secure a job. Okay, Larry said to secure a job. Awesome. Christina said to upskill and then get a job. I love it. So it means that Sharon said secure a job. We're all on the same page because it is not about the skill. The skill is just step one. The actual goal is us getting a job. And I love that we've all locked that mindset in. So we are not, you find that a lot of some people are confused. And this is where you see them going to upskill. Today they are learning data analytics. Tomorrow they are doing AWS. Tomorrow they are doing Tableau. Tomorrow they're doing Power BI. They're collecting certificates like Infinity Stones because they are confused. But what we have accomplished here is utmost clarity. And I love that for us. Now, the question is, how do you gain and showcase work experience? Now, do you remember when we spoke about your portfolio? And I said that when I'm looking at resumes, the first thing I do is I look at your resume and then I go to your LinkedIn or then I go to your portfolio because I want to see that you have done this before. But the question is, how do you build a portfolio? How do you build a portfolio that recruiters can actually trust? And this is where you start to build it. Projects in class. You start building your portfolio and putting it together. But then you might be thinking, Lola, I don't know how to build a portfolio. That's fine. We'll take care of that for you. We'll hold your hands and we're going to show you how you can do it. Now, another thing that you also get as well in 10 Analytics is a 2-month internship with Amdari. So this is how it works. The total learning period is for 8 months. You come in, you're learning for 8 months. However, your 8 months is broken down. So this is where we call this, this is your, I'm just coming into tech stage. So for 6 months, you're in class, you're learning, you do your capstone project, and then you graduate. When you graduate, you move to Amdari. And by the way, this is not a separate paid service. I'm going to talk more about that. When you graduate, you move to Amdari. Now, this goes out especially to the immigrants in the house. You've been applying for jobs and they keep on telling you you don't have Western experience. And because you don't have Western experience, we cannot hire you. Now, one thing we always advise the people, our participants, as soon as you come in, go on your LinkedIn, in analytics, put yourself as a consultant in analytics. Never list your job or what you do at analytics and put yourself as a student. No one is going to take you seriously. Put yourself or list yourself, your role in 10 analytics as a consultant. Now I'm going to show you how we make that possible and how we back that up. Now, because 10 Analytics is a Canadian company, it means that already you have Canadian experience. So we've biggest problems that immigrants go through in the market, which is you need to have local experience. You need to understand work context here. That's number one. Now, the second thing is when you go to Amdari, because Amdari is registered in the UK, you also have UK work experience. So you list yourself as well as a consultant in Amdari. So I hope we're all getting the clear picture. You come into analytics for 6 months, you learn, you do your capital project, you graduate, and then you move to Amdari. And now you've got both Analytics and Amdari on your profile. Now, this is in this process, you also build your portfolio. Sometimes we notice that some people build it faster than others. For some people, maybe they build their portfolio in the first 3 months, in the first 4 months. Really, it's up to you. Employability is a key part of what we teach you. And like I mentioned at the start of this, your ability to execute quickly and respond quickly is what is going to set you apart. Is the reason why some people get jobs 4 months in. Is the reason why some people get jobs 5 months in. And for some, they wait until like 1 year, 1.5 years, and then they realize, oh, we have to get this moving. If you put everything I walk you through today in action, if you execute relentlessly, you can take it to the bank that you will get results. Okay, so in a nutshell, you build your portfolio through the projects that you learn. You spend 6 months in analytics and then you spend 2 months in Amdari. That makes a total of 8 months building your portfolio. And that portfolio is exactly how you show recruiters that you have done this before. All right, now I want to just quickly talk about something here. Something I find very interesting. I'm sure we can all see my screen, right? Now you've got a child. Imagine that you've got a child and your child is struggling with math. And because of this, you need a tutor. You need a tutor urgently. Now you've got 2 people that was recommended to you by a friend. A friend said, hey, you know what? I went online and I just searched and then I found these people. So what do you think about this? What do you want to go for? Now, let's examine the difference between tutor A and tutor B. All right, we're going somewhere, by the way. Now, tutor A just graduated. Tutor A, let's call him Gabriel. Gabriel is enthusiastic, he's young, he's eager, and Gabriel goes, hey, I got an A in math, I can definitely help your child. But when you go talk to Gabriel and you say, hi, Gabriel, so how can you help my kid? Gabriel says, oh, I got an A in math. And then Gabriel brings out his fantastic, lovely, beautiful certificate and he shows it to you and he says, here is the proof of my awesome accomplishment. And this is proof that I can certainly teach your child math. And you're impressed. You're impressed, by the way, because, he's got a certificate from Harvard. And you're thinking, oh, awesome. Now you meet tutor B. But when you go talk to tutor B, you maybe find out that tutor B is in class teaching students math. And then you have to wait for maybe like 30 minutes. And then when tutor B comes out, you're like, hi, I'm thinking about getting you to help my child out. She's been struggling for a while and I really don't want her to fail her exams. So what do you think about that? And then, she has a conversation with you. Let's call her Rosemary. Yes, named after the Rosemary that we have in class today. Shout out to you, Rosemary. Now, Rosemary tells you that, hey, you know what? I've been tutoring for the last 5 years. And then she brings out her phone, she opens her TikTok page, and she's like, yeah, so these are the kids I have worked with. I have taught over 12 children, or let's say over like 50 children. And 45 of these kids have gone on to, get A's in math. The rest of them got B's. So these are the parents that you can speak to. This is my portfolio. You can call these parents and find out about me. So this is what I have done. and then she shows that, oh, some of the kids I have taught, they've gone on to top sixth forms and they're now in Oxford, in Cambridge, in Imperial, and then Rosemary tells you that her charge is $40, or let's say 40 pounds. She charges 40 pounds per hour. Now, by the way, tutor A, he charges 15 pounds an hour. Now, I'm throwing this to the house, to everyone here. You're the way, who are you going to hire? And remember, when you're making your decision, Rosemary charges 45 pounds an hour, 40 pounds an hour rather. And Gabriel charges 15 pounds an hour. So who are you getting to tutor your child? Okay, Adejoke said tutor B. Okay, Adeyinka said B. Interesting. But do we remember that tutor B is more expensive? Can someone tell us why we are going for B? Sharon. Okay, Sharon said A. Interesting, Sharon. Interesting. You're going to have to tell us why you said A. We would love to know. But for everyone, oh, someone said I could hire both and fire A later. Okay. I hope you got business analysis, by the way, because what this looks like to me is that you're about to run a test. Interesting. Nancy said experience plus results. Monica said she has proof of her works. Interesting. Fantastic. So I would love Sharon to tell us why he would go with A. And Adeyinka, that is a fantastic strategy, by the way. I could hire both and fire A later. But let's talk about why I would go for tutor B over tutor A. It's the same reason why Nancy would go for her, the same reason why Monica would go for her, the same reason why Adejoke Ola would go for her. And that is because tutor B, Rosemary, proof. Now, proof is what employers are looking at. Now, one thing that might not really work with your strategy, Sharon, is that for companies, they don't usually want to hire people to fire them. And this is because they think in terms of resources. So this is just an example, an analogy for companies, for how they would assess the people they want to bring on board. So for companies, when they hire anyone, they would have to spend time and resources training that person to be in a certain role. It will take time for the person to really get into their business context. It will take time for the person to be fully onboarded. So they don't think, you know what, I'm going to hire this person and fire this person later. They are hiring this person and saying, oh God, we hope you stay for the next couple of years so we don't have to recruit for this role again. That is what they are thinking. And that is why they would go for the candidate who has proof over the candidate who only has a certificate, especially now that the world has completely shifted from AI and from traditional roles. And we're starting to think that, oh, with the way AI is, you don't even need a traditional certificate. The only thing that you need to do is show that you can actually do the job. If a huge, big company like McKinsey can say, you know what, we don't even care about this. What we're looking for right now are people who have soft skills. What we're looking for now are people who have leadership skills. What we're looking for are people who have problem-saving skills. These are skills that can save the company revenue. So think about it. Your staff who have all of these amazing certificates are not going to get your company listed. Your staff who have all of these amazing certificates are not going to get your company to make 2 billion in revenue. You know, the people who can get your company to 2 billion in revenue annually, they are the people who are actually problem solvers. And that is what employers are looking out for. So you want to be tutor B over tutor A. You want to be the candidate who prioritizes proof over certificates. Now, employers only want two things from you. Employers, recruiters, people who want to bring you on board, they only care about two things. What are those two things? We've touched on it a bit, okay? One of them is skills. One of them is skills, but who can tell me what the second one is? Based on everything we have discussed so far, I just think one person to tell me what the second thing is. Okay? Because we've said so much about skills, but we're not saying that skills are not important. We are saying that you have to combine skills with fantastic. Lovely, lovely. Akin said experience. And I really love I really love the enthusiasm behind the experience. Papa said problem solver. Okay, Jane said experience. Adedamola said experience. Lovely. That's the word. Experience. Problem, because your experience proves that you can actually come in and solve problems. Your skills doesn't tell me that you can solve my problem. No, it does not. What it tells me is that you understand it on a theoretical level. But do you understand it on a practical level? Can you actually apply this to my business? Can you take me from where I am right now to where I need to be? When you think about how startups scale, when you think about how startups grow, you know, they want to grow in an explosive way. They have growth targets that they have to meet. They are not recruiting people who have skills. They are recruiting people who have experience. They are recruiting people who they know can actually deliver because they have a board, they have investors, they have to go and defend their numbers to eventually at the end of the year. So for these companies, what they care about is how you can help them grow. So remember this when you're looking for a job next time. And one thing I also want you to keep in mind, and by the way, if you have any questions for me, start getting your questions ready because we're going to be wrapping up very soon. One thing I want you to keep in mind when you're looking for jobs, I encourage our participants or the people that I speak to practice what I call empathy. You know, empathy when you're looking for a job. So always picture yourself as a business owner. If you were a business owner and you wanted to hire a cybersecurity analyst, you wanted to hire a data analyst, what would you want to see in this person's profile? Because trust me, the same way you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, the job market is hell. No, I hate this. I hate looking for a job. I can't believe I have to do this. It's the same way the recruiters, these companies are thinking this market is impossible. We hate it. We've been looking for the perfect candidates for the last 2 months, for the last 3 months. So what you are searching for, in other words, is searching for you. But you have to make yourself discoverable and open up yourself to those opportunities. Now, I want to quickly share a story with you. You know, we've got some people here who maybe have been out of like the corporate world for a while. And this is just an example, really, that it doesn't matter, you know, what your background is. You know how employers can be about gaps in your resume, how they can be about, you know, oh, you haven't been doing anything for the last 2 years. Ikmat was one of those people. She had a 2 year employment gap, which gave her a significant disadvantage in the job market over her peers who had been working for the last 2 years. Now she moved to the UK for her master's in public health. And then, you know, Ikmat realized that she wanted to do more for herself. And she was also in a position where she needed full visa sponsorship. So what did Ikmat do? Ikmat joined 10 Analytics and she took our data analytics program. And what happened? Ikmat got full visa sponsorship when she landed a role as an information analyst with the NHS. Okay, she got full visa sponsorship. Now, this is the Ikmat did not get this because they liked her. Ikmat did not get this because they said, "Oh my goodness, you've got a really cute smile." Ikmat got this because she proved value. There were other people who were data, who have been in the space, who have been working in the industry for years before Ikmat came along. There were other people who had been data analysts for 2, 3 years before Ikmat came along, who were also looking for jobs, by the way. So how did Ikmat get ahead of every single one of them and get a job? I'm going to tell you how Ikmat did it. It's because Ikmat did not only approach the market from a skills perspective, she also packaged herself so she could be employable. Now, let's imagine that you do that. Well done to you. You have gotten yourself an offer. It's a fantastic offer, and you're just super excited. But hey, they tell you, wait a minute, Sharon, wait a minute, Aki, we need references. So they tell you you need to provide 2 strong references. Who do you call? They tell you you need 3 references. Who do you call? Fantastic question in case you're thinking about that. Now, this is an example of a reference that we did for one of our participants called Adeola Adewale, Now, this message was sent to us in regards to Adeola, because he submitted our information and said, you know what, analytics is going to provide reference for me. But this is just an example of how, beyond you listing yourself as a consultant on Analytics LinkedIn, or listing yourself as a consultant on Amdari as well. So beyond the job experience that you're getting, you are also getting backup as well. So you're not in this market alone. You are looking for a job, you need a reputable company to back you up and to say, you know, yeah, he worked with us before, she worked with us before, and she was magnificent. You have Analytics, and we're going to back you up all the way. Now, we receive hundreds and hundreds of this sort of requests in a week, because we have so many of our candidates who are out there doing fantastic, amazing things in the market, and you could be one of them. Now, one question that you might be asking yourself is, where can I find these remote jobs? There are so many job boards that you can use to find remote jobs. We've got job boards like We Work Remotely. We've got job boards like Built-in, like Indeed, like LinkedIn. And I know that a lot of people here have experience when it comes to maybe navigating some of these job boards that I have mentioned. Now, this is another reason why it is so critical, so important that you do not go on a journey as massive as this, as big as this alone. Because one other thing that we provide you with is, so we partner with job boards, we partner with private job boards, and we go after those jobs that you would not easily find. So if you're familiar with how LinkedIn works, for those of us who have applied for roles on LinkedIn on the call, you know that you go on some roles sometimes and you can see over 100 people have applied. And this is because LinkedIn stops tracking when a job reaches 100 people. Now, what usually happens is that most likely it's been like maybe people in the thousands. Now, because you're competing in a saturated space, because you're competing in a market where so many people are applying, it means that your application is not getting seen. Nobody can see you because your application is getting lost in a sea of applications. And this is one of the benefits of using paid job boards for it. So we partner with lots and lots of partners to bring these jobs to you every single week. So as a participant in 10 Analytics, you also gain access as well to this. So we do all of the cleaning ourselves, real verified job. And all you have to do to complete your process is just click on apply. It is that easy. It is that easy. So you pair this with your efforts in looking for a job, and trust me when I say this, you can take it to the bank. You will certainly get results. Now let's quickly go over the system I've just walked you through. We have a name that we call it. It's the LPA framework. And this is why I said that people who actually put this in action, people who execute this, they always get the results that they are looking for. Now, L stands for learn. This is where you focus on one career path, be it product design, data science, data analytics, cybersecurity, business analysis, DevOps engineering. Focus on one. Sometimes we get people who say, wait, hold on. Can I do business analysis and data analytics at the same time? Oh my goodness, I love this. Can I do data science and data engineering at the same time? And we would always advise you to focus on one first, complete it, and then you can decide to move on to the next. And this is because if you spread yourself too far, you will spread yourself too thin. So focus on one, complete it, and then move to the next stage. The next stage is package. This is actually the employability stage. So package involves a variety of things. It involves what your CV looks like. And this is part of what we help you do. So we revamp your CV to ensure that it matches the standards of the job markets. Now, I mentioned something at the start of this. I mentioned the ATS, the applicants tracking system. A lot of people do not realize that one of some of the mistakes that they make on their CV is why their application never gets to be reviewed by a human being. So we help you create a format that is acceptable by the ATS. And all you have to do when you're applying for jobs is just keep adapting and changing to ensure that you're meeting the standards that we have already laid out for you, and your CV will never get ignored again. Now, another thing is LinkedIn optimization. If you have ever received an email, maybe from a recruiter who said, hey, I think you might be a good fit for this role, it means that your LinkedIn is optimized. If you have not, then, well, it's proof that you need us even more than you think than even more than you know. So we help you out with your LinkedIn optimization. We show you how you can ensure that your LinkedIn is the way the LinkedIn of someone who is looking for a job and someone who is not looking for a job, the way it looks is completely different. You cannot be looking for a job and your LinkedIn looks like the LinkedIn profile of someone who is comfortable, who has a cushion-ized job, and who is not looking for a job. Your portfolio should be pinned on your LinkedIn. These are just some of the tips that we share with our participants in class. Well, this is part of what we help you with. Your portfolio, the kind of projects that you build, we help you build up your portfolio so you would never be ignored in the market again. And then mentorship. So you want to talk to people who have done this before, people who have sat where you're sitting right now, and they were thinking at some point, is this possible? Could I be ICMAT? Could I be Hope? Could I one day break into tech? They went through the same thought process that you're going through now. So in our mentorship programs, you get to listen to these people. You get to hear from them, people who have walked the same path that you have, and you get to do this all for free. Interview preparation. Do you know how it is for some people to just, sit and have a conversation with, well, I've spoken to some candidates before, and, you start to hear their voices shake. When you ask them, tell me about yourself, they go, my name is Grace, and and that's just nerves. It's anxiety. Anybody, it can happen to anyone. It happens sometimes when you don't practice. So part of what we do is we help you prepare for this. When you feel prepared for an interview, you go in with more confidence because you know that you did your homework. So you can sign up, you can book an interview prep, and trust me, if you get 10 interviews in a week, you can book 10 interview preps with our team. Someone is always available to help you. Job reference, as you have seen, we will always provide you with a job reference when you need it, and on the job support. What this means is you never have to be alone. Some of our participants who have come into analytics and graduated months after, years after, reach out and say, hey, I need support. I need help with something on my job. Can you help me? And we get our consultants on the call and they help that person answer whatever questions they have. Now, the last step here is apply like a machine, but with precision. Remember what I said about the applicant's tracking system? So you're constantly optimizing your resume to ensure that it fits the job that you are applying for. You are tailoring your application to the job that you are applying for to increase your chances of your job getting to the table of a real person. Keep one thing in mind: quality over quantity. You can apply for 1,000 jobs and still waste your time. There was actually this story that was trending one time. I saw it on Instagram. This guy used an AI tool to apply for about 3 million jobs. And then he got shortlisted. Was it 3 million or 10 million? And then that was in the US, by the way. He got shortlisted by about 3 million. And then, he was going through the steps, and then the numbers just kept reducing: first stage, second stage, third stage. By the time he got to the offer stage, out of all of these millions of jobs that he had used AI to apply to, he only got 3 offers. One of them was a scam. Funny, right? One of them was a scam. The second one was it was an offer that he didn't like, and then he took the third offer. But it's funny, it's just proof of how you can just like spread yourself out, and then you just prioritize a quantity over quality, and then you still don't get the right result. But you do it the way we teach you how to do it in class, by prioritizing quality. And trust me when I say you will get mind-blowing results. Like, for example, getting a job. Okay, so I look forward to the people that we have on this call, being part of the success stories that we share at 10 Analytics, because you implement the strategies that I have shown you today. The LPA is one of the systems that our applicants, our candidates, our participants in 10 Analytics have used to gain amazing results for themselves. So long as you apply it, to the end. And I mean with commitment, with determination, to execute relentlessly, you will get results with the LPA. Okay. Now, let's talk about all of these tracks that I have walked you through, because I've spoken about all of these categories, but then what exactly are you learning if you go down this route? Now, let's talk first about the business analysis track. Okay, so what do you learn in Analytics as a business analyst? As a business analyst, you are a bridge between stakeholders and technical teams. You're the one who comes in to optimize business processes. I know that we have a lot of business strategies in the house. Shout outs to everyone there. You gather requirements, you interview stakeholders, you map out processes, you work with the engineers, the actual people who are building the products, to ensure that by the time it gets to the market, it is what the market actually wants. Now, under this track, you would be learning things like Power BI, like SQL. These are your core tools. You're going to be learning things like Excel. You're going to be learning things like process mapping. You're going to learn how to initiate a project planning session. You're going to learn things like Agile and Scrum. You're going to learn what the software development life cycle is. Now, you do not need to learn how to code for this. You don't need to learn how to code for this. It is very straightforward. Okay, anyone can learn this if business analysis is something that you are passionate about, if optimizing processes is something you are passionate about. Now, let's talk about project management. What do you learn? Or what does a project manager actually do? A project manager leads teams and facilitates meetings. So you're the person who keeps projects on track. You remove obstacles. You make sure that everyone on the team knows what they are working on. Now, in the tech ecosystem, most teams use agile methodologies, specifically Scrum or Kanban. And your job is to make sure that the team is working effectively and that projects are delivered on time. Now, under this track, you're going to be learning things like projects monitoring, control, and communication, which is how to track your project's progress and how to keep your stakeholders informed. Naturally, you're going to be learning things like the foundations of Agile and Scrum. You're going to learn autonomy, Scrum and Agile practices, end-to-end use of tools like Jira and Confluence that will be your bread and butter as an Agile project manager. You're going to learn leadership and real-world application. Do you remember when I spoke about soft skills, that this is what a lot of companies are prioritizing now? You do not need to learn how to code. But you see, one thing that you need for business analysis and for agile project management, at your core, at your center, you need to be a leader, because you're going to be in situations where you have to lead teams. You're going to be in situations where you have to make tough calls. And those tough calls could impact your business, it can impact your bottom line, and you have to be willing to make the hard call. So the one thing that you need for this is to be a business communicator, is to be a leader, okay? So again, shout out to our business analysts in the house and our project managers in the house. Let's talk about the next track, data engineer. So we've got data engineer, we've got data scientist, and we've got data analyst, the holy trinity in tech, okay? So now, what do data engineers, data scientists, and data analysts do? Now, let's start with the data analyst. I'm going to start with the data analyst because actually it's the easiest here. The data analyst is the most accessible data role and is the fastest path to employment for most people. Now, in this role, you analyze data and you help companies make decisions. I'm talking sales data, customer data, healthcare data, operational data. You pull it, you clean it, you analyze it, you visualize it, and you present it in a way that can drive business decisions. Now, in this track, you're going to be learning things like problem solving, like Excel, like storytelling, because you're a storyteller, but you're telling your stories using numbers. So for the lady who asked about health analysis, This is what you need in order for you to break into the industry. Data analyst. As a data analyst, you're analyzing data, and in many cases, you don't get to choose what kind of data you're analyzing. So maybe it's data from e-commerce sites, or maybe it's data regarding, the impact of COVID on the world today. Whatever that is, you are analyzing data and you're presenting it in a way that your stakeholders can understand. Now, let's talk about data scientists. You can refer to data scientists as the most advanced of the three, the most advanced analytics role. It goes way deeper than data analysts because here you are not just analyzing what happened, you are predicting what will happen. Let me put it into perspective for you. I'm sure everybody here, at some point, maybe you were on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, or maybe you've used Disney Plus, or maybe you've watched movies on Netflix, whatever that is. But you know how sometimes when you're signing up, they ask you questions like, what do you like? What do you prefer? And then when you come back, you're on your Instagram or your TikTok, you're seeing things that you like to engage with. If you're the kind of person who likes to watch maybe AI generated videos, maybe you like to watch cats dancing, when you open your TikTok, you start to see a lot of videos like that being recommended to you. And that is because you interacted with that data. And now they have predicted that this is what Rosemary is interested in. This is what Akin is interested in. Now, on this track, the coding level is intermediate. So you're going to have to learn how to use tools like Python for data analysis and machine learning. So while it's more technical than data analysts, you still do not need a computer science degree for this. The only thing that you need to become successful in this role is just to have, okay, thank you so much for joining us, Olukayode. I hope that you filled out the form so that you can always gain access to the recording and watch, okay? But thank you for joining us. All right, for the data scientist, again, you are a fortune teller. You predict the future. Now let's talk about the data engineers. Data engineers, they don't analyze data. They don't predict the future. They build the systems that makes data accessible to the data analysts and data scientists. Without data engineers, there would be no data for data scientists and data analysts to even take a look at. So data engineers are the ones who are responsible for building the pipelines that direct where all of this data would go. Now, let me put it into perspective for you. Without data engineers, you see all of this data that we are generating on this call, it's just going to go in different places. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to go into one place. And then everyone is going to be confused. What does this data mean? How do I interpret this data? Because there's just so much to look at. But data engineers are the ones, they're like plumbers. So they build the pathways and they direct the data. Okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. And because of that, it makes analyzing and predicting easy for data scientists and data analysts. Now, on this track, coding is intermediate to advanced. However, one thing that you should know is on data engineering and for data scientists, people who have engineering backgrounds, and you don't even have to have a computer science degree. You just need to have an engineering background. If you like to build systems and infrastructure, if maybe you have studied mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or any field that taught you systems thinking, you can transition into data engineering and data scientist without any problems. Okay, let's talk about the next track. Now we've got financial analysts and HR analysts. Let's talk about these two roles that are perfect for people with specific backgrounds. Now, for the financial analyst in tech, what you do is, but before I even go into that, if you studied accounting, economics, finance, this is your fastest path into high-paying roles, by the way. So economics, finance, accounting, you want to go here. So under this track, you analyze financial performance, forecast revenue, you build business models, but you do it in a fast-paced moving tech environment because that's how tech companies or tech environments are. They are fast pace. So you're learning things like problem solving, Excel, Power BI, SQL, accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, So under this track, you do not even need to learn how to code. You just need to be comfortable with numbers. Now, let's talk about HR and analysts. Now, if you come from maybe HR, psychology, sociology, this is how you transition into tech. You can use data to optimize your hiring process. You can use data to drive retention, to improve employee performance, to implement diversity initiatives. You can help companies build better workplaces through data-driven insights. And that's why you find that a lot of times FA and HR are alike, because the basis of it, is analysis. And then, here you're analyzing numbers and here you are analyzing people. So under this track, you're learning tools like Excel, like Power BI, like SQL, like ChatGPT. Now let's talk about cybersecurity. Now, under the cybersecurity track, you don't, this is one of the most misunderstood tracks, by the way. I just want to establish that this track is very misunderstood. When people hear cybersecurity, they automatically think I need to be a hacker. They think I need to understand advanced coding in order for me to transition into this role. But before we debunk that, let's talk about what cybersecurity actually do. Cybersecurity analysts. So cybersecurity analysts are the people who protect organizations from threats. They are the reason why you can go on Amazon. They're the reason why you can go on your shopping cart on Uber and put your card in without fear that you're going to get hacked, because they are cybersecurity analysts who are protecting systems. Okay. Now, under this track, you're going to be learning things like the introduction to network, to systems, to threats and vulnerabilities. You're going to learn threat detection and response. You're going to learn open source intelligence, malware analysis, compliance audits, and policy development. Now, you do not need to know how to code. So the coding requirements for this is minimal to none. All you need to do to get into cybersecurity is just be interested. That is it. So again, I hope that you took the quiz. If you got cybersecurity analysis and you're thinking, oh, this might be too technical for me, shocker, it's not. Okay, now let's talk about the other tracks, and we're close to wrapping up. Like I said, if you have questions, start getting them ready for me. Let's talk about DevOps engineering. So what does a DevOps engineer do? I have to say, this is the most technical role on this list. I'm going to be very upfront about that. As a DevOps engineer, you build the gap between software development and IT operations. Your job is to make sure that software is developed, it is tested, and it is deployed. And not just that, it is maintained quickly, reliably, and at scale. You know how the world just stops whenever Instagram stops working? Now, the reason why that doesn't happen every day is because of people like this, because you build in the system that ensures that your app is able to grow to millions of users, is be able to be shipped to millions of users without breaking. So this is your job as a DevOps engineer. You automate everything. You build the pipelines so that when a developer writes code, it automatically gets tested, approved, and deployed to production. Okay, now this is so high when it comes to salary, actually extremely high. One good DevOps engineer can make a team of 50 developers 10 times more productive. Now, what you're going to learn under this track is DevOps fundamentals, Linux essential. So you're going to learn things like Git and GitHub workflows. You're going to learn things like Docker Compose, Docker networking and volume. You're going to learn infrastructure as code and monitoring. But I have to be very honest with you. On this track, you do need a coding level of intermediate to advanced. So if you've ever played around with code before, if coding is not something that scares you, this is where you want to be. This is actually best for people who have engineering backgrounds, mechanical, electrical, civil, any engineering background. So long as you understand engineering and systems thinking, logic thinking, you will thrive in this role. So if you studied any form of engineering, you should probably be looking here. Now, one thing to note before I move forward is it's not the easiest path, it's the most technical. So if you like building systems, if you enjoy automation, if you're comfortable learning technical tools, the salaries and the demand for DevOps engineer, it is exceptional. You will never run out of job opportunities under this. Okay. And again, we are here to hold your hand and walk you through it because of the community system that we have designed. Now, the final course on our list here is product design. Now, this is the perfect path for creative people who want to work in tech. Now, as a product designer, you are the bridge between the human need and a successful product. This is because you research what your users need. You design how products should look and feel. You know how you open an app and you think, oh my God, this is gorgeous? Yes, that is exactly what a product designer does. Now, the UI, we have like UI, UX. The UI stands for user interface. The UX stands for user experience. They are combined because the way it looks gives me a feeling. The fact that I can find something easily makes me feel something. So that is what product designers do. The salary for this is incredibly high. What you learn under this track is the UX foundations and research. You learn how to create personas, how to build journey maps, how to build wireframes, visual designing, prototypes. You learn how to use Figma. You learn how to use Figma AI, how to use Framer, how to use Claude, Notion, and all of that. All of this combined makes you a talent that can compete anywhere in the world, globally. Okay? Fantastic. So now in all of these tracks I have just listed, from product design to data engineering, DevOps, every single one of them, your learning time period is for 6 months, except product design. Actually, you do that for 4 months. Learning period is 6 months. Business analysis, Scrum Master, data analytics, financial analytics, all of them 6 months of learning in 10 analytics, and then 2 months of internship in Amdari. Okay. Now, your classes happen on Saturdays. On Saturdays, you have live classes that happens in the morning. Now we split this between two, and this is because our students are all around the world. So just to ensure that we're catering to all the time zones, we split this into two. So in the morning between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time, and in the evening between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. UK time. This is when your live classes happen on Saturday. Now, if you miss the morning class, you can make the evening class. Now, throughout all of this, you have access to your self-paced videos. Now, you also gain access to your mentorship program, okay? You have mentorship sessions that happen on Thursday, 10 p.m. UK time, and on Thursdays, 8 p.m. MST. Now, remember when I spoke about product design, the learning timeline for that is 4 months. So you learn for 3 months in 10 analytics, and then in 1 month, you do your internship in Amdari, and you are ready to go out there and go be amazing in the market, okay? Now, all of these career paths are for beginners. You just have to align it to what you love to do. So long as it's something that you love to do, you will certainly be amazing in this. Now, we're wrapping up here. Our next cohort is starting on the 7th of February, 2026. I have said a whole lot. I've spoken about how the market is changing, how you can respond to that change, how you can be one of the people who gets into this market and becomes the person that you want to become. I've broken down all of these career paths, but then again, this leads me to a very, very important section, in our presentation today. Okay, so what is this going to cost me? Now, for business analysis, all of the paths I have listed, from business analysis all the way down to DevOps engineering, it's actually $1,250. That's the full amount. However, we have discounted it to $1,000. This is because we're giving you a 20% discount. Now, for product design, the price is different. It also has a 20% discount. So from $1,000, it's $800 as well. Now, for all of these courses on this section, the business analysis, data analytics, cybersecurity, HR, agile project management, you can pay $150 and get started today. $150, that is all you need to get started today. Okay? Now, my colleagues are dropping in the chat section a form that you can fill out. Just click on that. It's going to take you straight to where you can make your payments. You do not want to miss that. Click on that. It's going to take you straight to where you can make your payments. But I'm just going to click here, and I'm also going to drop the link in the chat section as well. So anyone who is ready, I mean, you've taken the quiz, you've seen what that looks like, and you are ready to get into it. So this is it. Okay, I'm just going to drop the link here, and you can just make your payments. Okay, Janet. Okay, if Janet is still here, thank you so much. Thank you, Chipo. Thank you so much, everyone who said bye before they left. I think it's proof of how much value they got from the session. Okay, so click on that link I just dropped, and it's going to take you to the courses section where you can choose the course that is the best fit for you. Okay, now let me show you what that journey looks like. So when you come to the page, you're going to find all of the courses I have walked you through, from business analysis to financial analytics. All of the courses I have walked you through, this is where you find them. Now you come on the page, you want to click on the specific course that you're interested in. Okay, so if you want to follow this journey and do it with me, that would be amazing. We can get started together. All right, so you can just copy the link in the chat section and let's do it together. Okay, okay, let's do it. I'm going to go to the courses page now, and we're just going to do it together. Okay, so if you took the quiz and if you think it was a perfect fit for you, business analysis, whatever that looks like, this is the perfect time for you to get started. We usually get people who ask us questions like, when are you guys going to run a discount for us? Well, now we're running a discount and it's not going to last. Once we get the first 20 people, this discount is going to absolutely shift. I mean, I can't promise when we're going to get another discount again. So this is the best time to get started. Now, another reason why it is best for you to lock this down today is because everything I have listed, you can get started in 2026. But a lot of people would hold themselves back from getting started. So basically, you are your own biggest enemy. You're holding yourself back from doing something that you know you want to do, something that is capable of changing the trajectory of your life, of shifting it completely. So just lock it down. If you're ready to get started, join our February cohort. Sign up right now, lock down the 20% discount, and you can consider this matter closed. And when I say close, it means stepping into the next level of your life. All right, now we're on the sign up page. I have selected the course I want to go for, which is business analysis. I'm going to put in my name here, and then I'm going to put in my email address. I just took a temporary email address. I'm going to put in my phone number, and then I'm going to select that I have read the terms and conditions. You might want to read that. And then I create an account. And that's pretty much it. Okay? I tick the box and I create an account. That's it. I'm in. Okay. I hope that some of us are, that we're all doing this with me. Now, this is the February cohort. It starts on the 7th of February. We also have the March cohort as well. So maybe you have to put some things in place before you get ready for this. You might want to go for the March cohort, but I would always advise that you just get started immediately. Okay, get started immediately as soon as possible. So go for the February cohort if you can, and if you cannot, go for the March cohort. But the most important thing here is if you go for either of them, you are locking it down at the discount price. Okay. So you can either choose to pay in 5 monthly installments, which is where you get $150 to get started. And then you pay subsequently $212. Subsequently, $212, you pay that in 4 installments, and then you can consider it a wrap. But then $150 for you to see whether or not this is a fantastic fit for you. And you know it's going to be a fantastic fit for you if you took the quiz and you were very honest with your response. Now, one thing I want to throw to the house, if maybe you feel like it wasn't the right fit for you, You can also have a conversation as well with our Clarity support team. You can have a conversation with a career consultant who will ask you questions about your background just to be sure about what would be the right fit for you. Now, we have different payment options. We have 5 monthly installments, 4 monthly installments, 2 monthly installments, 3 monthly installments, and then we also have the full payment. If you choose to make a full payment, you also get an extra discount. So instead of paying $1,000, you will be paying $975 if you choose to make the full payment. Now, in this case, let's just go for 5 monthly installments, okay? So when we do that, it brings us to a page where we can confirm our enrollment. As you can see, my discount is being automatically applied. Now, one thing I would like you to pay attention to, please, if you're whatever it is you're doing, you can just pause that and pay attention here. You see this button that we call edit date. So maybe your salary comes in at a different time on the month and you want to be prepared. You're making payments today, it's the 24th of January. Naturally, your next payment is going to be expected on the 24th of February for those people who are paying in installments. So maybe your salary comes in on the 27th or the 28th. You can always change the dates here. You can move it forward up until the 7th of March and say, you know, my salary comes in on this day and this is when I want to pay next. Now, what happens is that is automatically applied and it reflects in all your payments. You can see that your second payment happens in March. You can see your third payment happens in April on the 6th. You can see your fourth payment happens in May on the 6th, and your fifth payment happens in June on the 5th. So that extension that you apply automatically moves forward. And this is for people who maybe have different days when their salary comes in, so that you're not stuck and feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not ready for this. We take a lot into consideration when we're building. And for the business analysts in the house and the product designers in the house and even the data analysts, this is literally what we do. The data analysts are the ones who came to us and said, hey, we see people who are saying that the salary comes in at a certain time. And, you know, the business analysts were the ones who had conversations with some of our participants to confirm this. And, you know, the product designer was the one who came up with this idea on how we can ensure that people can still make payments and move it all the way forward, and then put it in a way that it was designed that anyone can easily understand. So I guess that we're seeing real world applications of some of these courses that we've been talking about. Okay, so I'm going to put in my card details here. So this is a test card. And then I'm going to put in my month here as well, and my year, my CVC as well. And yeah, that's it. I'm just going to put in test because, again, this is a test card. And then you also want to select maybe whatever region you're in. If you're in the United States, if you're in the UK, whatever that looks like, you want to select it. And then you move to the final stage, okay? You move to the final stage. And that's pretty much it, okay? You completed your sign-up process and you gained access to your dashboard in very easy steps. Now, one thing is you do need to verify your email address. It's just one small thing just to confirm that, you know, your email address is correct, because we're going to be sending all your information there. So you can see your temporary password has been created. You can see your email verification. You can see your receipt of the successful payment that you made. I'm just going to open this and copy the code, and then I'm going to put that in the box, and that's pretty much it. We still have to collect some data though. I know we noticed that some people would come to this place and they would just bounce. So once you're done making your payments, you just bounce. So try as much as possible to complete this when you have the time. Maybe you're busy, you don't have the time to complete it immediately, you make your payment. You can always come back here and complete it at some point, but you know, preferably before your cohort gets started. That's it, guys. So the next page is where you now select where you live. So if you live in the United States, if you live in Argentina, Armenia, wherever that is, you select your gender here. Select your preferred time. So if you want to go for your live classes or attend live classes in the morning or in the evening, depending on what your time zone looks like, you want to select that as well. And then if you have another email, you want to put that here too. In this section, we always encourage you to just tell us how you heard about 10 Analytics so we can shout out to whatever channel it is that brought you here. Okay, what made you register with 10 Analytics? And if it was me, feel free to put in my name. Maybe I said something that really resonated with you. You can put that there. So how much time can you commit to this weekly? You can say I can commit 46 hours, I can commit 10 hours, preferably. I hope you can do that. And that's it, everyone. Your profile is set up and ready to go. Now, when you get into your dashboard, we have something that we call an onboarding checklist. Now, we designed this onboarding checklist just to ensure that you have everything that you need to get started. Some of these programs that you're going to be starting require you to install some tools. You have to install tools like Power BI, like Tableau, Excel, and others. And here we have videos that show you exactly how you can install those tools, a step-by-step process. Keep one thing in mind while you are doing this. If you run into any issues, if you need help, there's a button here, a Get Help button. You can click on this and support will be right there with you, will respond to you within 2 hours and will ensure that your problem is resolved. So all you have to do to complete your onboarding, watch your videos, install the tools so that when your cohort gets started, you are ready to hit the ground running. You're also going to see who your facilitators are. You're going to see what your cohort schedule looks like, what dates you're expected to graduate. You're going to see guidelines on how to communicate in class, on etiquette. Like I mentioned, we have a pod program, so we put people in different pods. Some of these people on this call, you might be in the same pod at the end of the day. So we have a breakdown of all the most important things that you need to know before you get started. And that's it. You are ready to get started with 10 Analytics. Very, very straightforward, okay? So one thing I want you to keep in mind is that this discount is only available for the first 20 people. This discount is only available for the first 20 people. And what that means is that in each cohort, once we get to the first 20 people, it automatically locks. You can't get this discount again. So you want to lock it down right now. Make your decision and lock it down. What are we waiting for? We've already established that time waits for no one. There's so much growth in different pathways that do not require computer science degrees, so much opportunities in different pathways that you can use to change the trajectory of your life. So I would put a question to the house. Everything that you think is a blocker, in reality, it really isn't. If you think 6 months is too much time, 8 months is too much time, no matter what you do, that time is going to pass anyway. So why don't you just spend all of that time learning a new tech skill so that you can be ready to get into the job rush hour once it starts? I'm going to leave you with something before I wrap up. We have different quarters in a year. We have Q1, we have Q2, we have Q3, we have Q4. And what happens typically is that in Q1, Q2, hiring is on the rise. It's at its highest level because companies are desperately looking to close talent gaps. So companies are hiring in full force. Things start to slow down, sort of. They start to dip in Q3. And they reach a standstill at some point in Q4, like the last month of December, it reaches a standstill. And this is because, companies are now preparing their budgets for what their next year's salaries is going to look like. So this is the best time. If you get started today, in the next 4 months, in the next 5 months, you're going to be out there looking for a job. For people who get it faster and who execute relentlessly, you're going to be in the market in the next 3-4 months. You're looking for a job. And just like we've seen with people like Hope, you're going to be getting massive, massive results so long as you implement the framework that I have walked you through today, which is the Learn, Package, and Apply framework. So what are you waiting for, everyone? $150 for you to get started. Now, we also got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program in October 2024. We also got into some really incredible accelerator programs as well last year, including the Dohe Accelerator Program. And we also got into a few as well in 2026. We can't wait to make that announcement to the House and to everyone. And another thing is that we are accredited by the American Council of Training and Development. So if you're thinking, well, are you guys accredited? We are. And we are certainly looking forward to having you in our cohort. And one thing I'm looking forward to everyone here on this call, everyone who has already made payment, everyone who is ready to get started. I hope that your story is one of the stories that I'm sharing in a masterclass in the next couple of months on how Akin got a job, how Rosemary got a job, how Sharon got a job because he took a chance on himself and said, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to put myself out there and we'll see what we get. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us so far. I want to throw this to the house. Do we have any questions? Any questions? I can take your questions. If you have any questions, I'm just going to go through the chats and I'm going to look at the comments that people have dropped, and then I'm going to start answering from there. But feel free to raise a hand if you have a question. Okay, so Faith Bello, I don't know if you're still here. You asked, is it possible for one to have attributes of both attributes of both skills in data and business, and can do one at a time? So I'm guessing that what you're asking is it possible for me to have attributes in data analysis and in business analysis, and can I do one at a time? Absolutely. I would suggest that you go for one at a time. And the one I would suggest you actually go for first, if you're interested in both, is data analysis. You go for data analysis first, and then you can now decide to step up with business analysis. What that means is that when you're job hunting, you become a business analyst who is also a data analyst. And we've already spoken about how business analysts optimize business processes. Before you do that, you have to know how to analyze data, which is part of what we teach in the market. But if you go for data analysis first, it means that you are operating on a level that your average business analyst does not operate on. So this makes you an absolute beast in the market. So Faith, I would advise that you start with data analytics and then you work your way up to business analysis. All right. I'm going to scroll down and check for some more questions that people have. What questions? If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box, or you can raise a hand. Okay, Lanre. Lanre is saying, what's the pounds equivalent for the cybersecurity course? That is a fantastic question. So Larry, we have made it very easy for you to do something. I do not think I showed you how to do that. So I'm just going to go here. I want to do this because I'm sure that we have some other people who might probably have the same question. So I want to quickly show you how you can answer that question for yourself. So if you're wondering, what is the equivalent of this in naira? What is the equivalent of this in dollars? What is the equivalent of this in pounds? All you have to do is just go to the page where you're going to pay for your course. Okay. We have made it very easy for you to select. There's a drop down there. I'm going to show you what that drop down looks like. And you can use that drop down to select the course, to select the currency that you want to pay in. And then you can see what it looks like in that currency. Okay. So quickly, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to click on, you were asking for cybersecurity, right? It's pretty much the same thing, from data analytics to data science and others. So we can just use any one really. I'm just going to go to cybersecurity program. And once I open it here and I click on enroll now, so this is for everyone. Maybe you're asking, what does this cost in a certain currency? You can just come here and you can select your currency. So I'm going to go up. So you come to this page, you can see your cohort. So when you select your cohort and when you scroll down, you can see your payment options. And when you look here, up here, you see currency. So you can select what currency you want to display this in, okay? you can select what currency you want to display this in. So I hope I've answered your question, Lanre. All right, so let's see what other questions we have in the house. Faith Bello, thank you so much for a productive time. Thank you. I'm glad I found clarity on my career path. Now it's, oh my God, I love this. I'm so happy for you, Faith, and I'm looking forward to all of the amazing things that you're going to do. And I think this is one feedback that actually put me on cloud nine just now. It's Faith says she found clarity on her career path, and I think that's such a beautiful way to phrase it. Because for many people, you know what you know that you want to break into tech, but you're just confused. What am I going to do? What do I do? How do I get into tech? You know, which one do I want to go for? There are so many options. You go online, people are saying business analyst, data analyst, but I am glad that this is the clarity that you've been able to get out of this masterclass. And this, if this is all you accomplished, you have done amazing today, Faith. Thank you so much for that feedback. I'm going to, print it on a shirt and wear it around. Christina said, may I kindly ask how to apply problem-solving techniques, given that different businesses face different types of problems? This is a fantastic question. Beautiful, fantastic question. Now, depending on what path you go for, let's assume that you go for business analysis, okay? There are so many frameworks that you can use, that you can apply to problem solving, that can help you find a problem to a solution. There are lots and lots of frameworks that you're going to learn under the business analysis track. But for the purpose of everybody here in the house today, because we already established that in order for you to be in the market, in order for you to establish value in the market, you need to be what? A business communicator. So how do you solve problems? So there are lots of ways that you can do it. Now, one thing I always like to do, one of the first things that is quite cliche really, is that I like to do an analysis, and I would draw up a board where I would put pros and cons of that business, So what are the things that are positive about the business? And you want to benchmark this against the competition. An easy way to do this would be you're about to apply to a company, you have an interview, and you want to sound like a business communicator in your field. Do what we call a SWOT analysis. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do a SWOT analysis. So SWOT stands for, it's an acronym for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So when you break it down into SWOT, you can now start to identify. So you can do it like, what is the strength of this company? What are the areas they are doing very well? And maybe you might want to narrow it down to your field. Is it DevOps? Is it cybersecurity? Is it business analysis, data analytics? Any information that you can find, do a SWOT analysis. So what is their strength? And then you move to what are their weaknesses. So once you have identified their strengths, it would help you identify what they could be doing better to make a difference in the market. Now, another thing that you can also look at is opportunities. You've seen their strengths, you've analyzed their weaknesses. What are the opportunities in the market? And remember, you're also looking at what their competition is doing. So for the sake of in the opportunity area, you are looking at what maybe their competition is not doing that. And these are new innovations that you can drive in the company. Maybe you have identified areas where they could apply AI on any level, or for business optimization, for process optimization. And then for threats, you're now saying, okay, maybe there's a new player in the market, and this new player has a technology, or they have a USP. USP means unique selling point. Why would people want to buy your products? Why would people want to go for you? So maybe a new player in the market has a USP that makes them a threat in the market. So once you do a SWOT analysis, you understand their business operations on such a fundamental level that you can come in and have an intelligent conversation with them during the interview, and you will blow their minds. How did a candidate do so much research to understand my business? And it doesn't stop when you get the job. You continuously apply that as well as other frameworks. But typically, I would advise that you stick to one or two. Do not overcomplicate the process. Fantastic question, Christina. I hope I've been able to answer that. All right. Monica is asking a question. I can see that Elijah has already answered her question. Thank you so much, Elijah. I'll just take a look at it quickly. Thank you so much. Thank you, Monica. I love the way you clarified the details. So I plan to go for data analysis, but the quiz gave me out as a strategist, business analyst. So what do I go for now? Because I'm already in healthcare and plan to move on to tech. Okay, fantastic question, Monica. So the quiz is the first step to gaining clarity. However, it is not the only way to gain clarity. So maybe it has identified you as a business analyst, but then, because you're interested in data analysis, especially because of your background in healthcare, there's a lot of value when you move from healthcare to data analysis. What I would advise you to do, Monica, is you can still register for the data analytics course if that is something that you are interested in, just like Elijah said. And when you register for it, you can come in and have a conversation with our career consultants, and we're just going to walk you through. By the way, you can change your course up to 2 weeks when you register. You can decide to defer and move from business analysis to data analysis. I would say lock it down now so you do not miss the discount, and then you can book a clarity call and come in and talk to our consultants. Let's get to know you better, Monica. Let's talk about your background. Let's talk about your personality. Let's talk about your dominant or hidden traits and see why you're getting pulled towards data analysis. And we can help you, we'll hold your hands and we'll make the decision together on which path is the best for you. Okay, Akin said, oh my goodness, Akin, fantastic. Lovely. I'm excited, Aki. I can't wait to see you in our cohort. I don't know if you went for the February or the March cohort, but I simply cannot wait. Okay. Edith said highly informative. Thank you. Thank you so much, Edith. Christina said data analytics. That tracks, but I hope I've been able to answer your question. Delta said my test result was a HR analyst. What tech course can I further in to give myself an upgrade after studying to be a HR analyst? Okay, fantastic question. I like the fact that you've done something interesting here. You've made a decision that you're going to go for HR analyst, and now you're asking, so when I'm done with it, what else can I add on top of it? And this is because usually, so people will try to combine both of them, which I do not advise. I would not advise you to pay for two courses. Instead, plan and then you start. You finish one and then you move to the next one. So as a HR analyst who is looking to move somewhere else in the market, you have like two other opportunities. You can go for projects management, or you can go for business analysis. And I'll tell you why. Because HR at its core is about people. And HR analysis is about retention. So you're solving problems to retain your workforce. You are solving problems to equip your company with the best workforce that can help them take on the corporate world and win. Yeah? So you're solving problems and you're a people person as well. This means that you most likely have the skills that would make you a fantastic project manager. But one thing I'm very sure of is you would have the skills that would make you a fantastic business analyst, because one thing we do every day in a HR analyst role is you solve problems. So from this, you can pivot into business analysis. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Delta. Okay, you're welcome, Christina. Thank you so much. Uzman said, I tried applying but have a problem with the way my name is written. Will I be able to edit it later? Absolutely. Just go to your dashboard. Once you're done with your readiness, you have your dashboard. You can go there and you can edit your name. It's that simple as ABC, Usman. I hope I've answered your question. Monica said, okay, thanks. I will register. Just want to clear my fears and doubts. Amazing, Monica. Thank you so much. Um, Akin said is working. I see that Elijah has already answered that question. I'm just going to keep on looking. I don't think we have any other questions. Does anyone want to raise a hand and ask a question before we call it a day? Okay. Okay, someone said, Divine said, I have a question for someone who has NOC and level 2 and level 3 in construction by using light steel frame. Is there a way of using it in Canada? So I'm guessing that you're asking if there's something that you can pivot to because you have experience in construction. Just want to be sure that that's your question, Divine. Absolutely. We have lots and lots of people who have come from construction and have pivoted, moved into other skills in tech. However, your field, your industry is not enough to get a clear picture of what would be a fantastic fit for you. There are still other things to consider. Are you extroverted? Are you introverted? Do people drain you or do they not? Are you empowered when you're in front of people talking and talk? Can you do this? Can you turn on your camera and have a conversation with people that you're not even seeing on the other side? If you're a people person, most likely you have to find what your dominant traits are, and then we can tie that back to what course would be the best fit for you. So what I would advise is please click the link and book a clarity call so you can come in and have a conversation with our career consultants. But you want to book that clarity call yesterday. You want to book it today to ensure that you're able to lock down that discount. Charity said, do the jobs have fully remote options or one has to move to another? Oh, absolutely not, Charity. All the career paths that I showed you, you can do them from your living room. You can do them from your living room or anywhere, maybe your mom's house, or maybe on a beach, sipping something tropical. You can do them anywhere. Trust me. DevOps engineering, you've got data engineering, data analysis. All of these are roles that are fully remote if you want. So they have three different options: fully remote, there's hybrid, and then there's on-site. You would never run out of options with any of these career paths. Lots of countries are hiring and they're reaching outside their borders to hire talent, and you could be one of those people. So all of these career paths are very remote friendly. Eddie said, thanks, you are doing a great job. Thank you so much. Please, why is product design 4 months? That is a fantastic question. So product design is 4 months because when it comes to being the major thing with product design is the aesthetics of it, understanding the fundamentals of it, the UI, the user interface, the user experience. And we could extend it and we could make it 8 months. It's a new program actually that we just introduced. But from what we have noticed, you do not need to study product design for 6 months. Spend another 2 months in Amdari before you break into that role. We've seen people come into product design and they've broken into this career path in 2 months. Some people are so creative. I always say something, Eddie. I say when it comes to design, there are three kinds of people. There are those who think inside a box. There are those who think outside a box. And then there are those that for them, the box simply does not exist. So product design at its core is about your creativity. It's about how you're able to express yourself through user interfaces. It's about your understanding of a problem. You understand the problem at such a fundamental level that you're able to break it down in its most simplistic form on UI. And you do not need 8 months for you to learn that. You only need 4 months for you to become a product designer who can compete in any part of the world. You can take my word for it. You can take that to the bank, Eddie. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Does anyone have any other questions before we call it a day? Any other questions before we call it a day? Okay. So if you want to catch this recording, if you want to take your time and watch this, when you're relaxed or something, please fill the form. Arafat, Elijah, please also drop the attendance form again so that the people who have not filled it can fill out the form. Please fill the form. It's the only way you're going to gain access to the resources that we use today, to this slide. It's the only way you're going to be able to watch this recording again. We also share other helpful tips as well with those who are members of our communities, like how you can find a job, things that are related to what you have expressed interest in, data analytics, business analysis, whatever that is. So you do not want to miss this, okay? So please drop the attendance form. Thank you so much for sharing that again, Arafat. And if you missed it, please fill out the attendance form so you can always catch the replay, okay? Do we have any other questions? One last call before we call it a day. One final call before we call it a day. Okay, so I'll say everyone here has no further questions. But remember, if you maybe have a question that has not yet been answered, you can also fill out the attendance form. It's going to take you to a Clarity link where you can book a call with our career consultants who are always ready to answer whatever questions you have. I'm going to leave you with this. Remember that the discount is only for the first 20 people in each. So when I say in each, I mean product design, in DevOps engineering, 20 people, the first 20 people in each. And as you can see, you already have competition. Lots of people are already locking down their spots. So this is the best time for you to lock down your spot, so that by the time you're ready to pay, you don't have to pay the full price. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be that person. Okay, so in this case, the early bird gets the worm. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us up till the end of this session. And I cannot wait to see how you make 2026 the best year of your life. I can't wait to see how you all make 2026 the year that you begin to define what you want for yourself and when you step into your new career path. So thank you once again, and I look forward to seeing everyone here in class. On behalf of my colleagues and I, we wish you a good day or a good night. Bye, everyone.